Javier Riojas is an attorney and branch manager of the Texas RioGrande Legal Aid in Eagle Pass, Texas, a small town on the border with Mexico. He has worked at Texas RioGrande Legal Assistance since 1984 and has represented thousands of U.S. farm workers, H-2 agricultural workers, and other low-income Texans.
I work for Texas RioGrande Legal Aid, and one of the program's missions is to represent Texas migrant and seasonal farm workers who are displaced by guest workers. And today I have the privilege of conveying to the committee the experience of 22 of 720 Texas workers that applied for a job with a major watermelon grower, Border Melons. This grower strives to have year-round produce by planting its crops in various locations in Mexico and in Texas. And it succeeded in getting foreign guest workers basically by misclassifying its jobs as non-agriculture. This grower uses 2 farm labor contractors basically to plant, grow, harvest, and package its produce within its own facilities. Yet, by using the H-2B program, it was able to obtain foreign guest workers without offering those jobs to the Texas workers that sought those jobs. And here's how they did it. Basically, from 2001 through 2004, they represented to the Department of Labor that they were doing agricultural produce packing, and it was going to start in Arkansas. And they disclosed that the produce packing in Arkansas was harvesting and packing sweet corn in Newport, Arkansas in early February. At that time of the year, there is no sweet corn to harvest in Arkansas. But by disclosing that, they were able to take advantage of the 10-hour window that the department provides for recruiting U.S. workers. And under that 10-hour window, they basically advertise the jobs in the local area for 3 days in a local newspaper and keep a job order open. Obviously, no workers are going to respond to that work opportunity that does not exist. In the meantime, when the work actually started in Texas, they did no recruitment where the work actually was in Edinburgh, Quemado, and Plains. And so no Texas workers were getting a shot at those jobs. And my clients, who were seasonal workers that were doing this works for years, would go to the job sites and they're told, no, there's no work. We already have a complete crew. And that crew was H-2B workers that were coming in. From 2004 to 2007, once the department caught on to that fictitious first leg in the itinerary, they started disclosing that the work involved produce packing at a fixed site in Edinburgh, which is in the Rio Grande Valley. By doing this, they only had to recruit for those 10 days in the Edinburgh area, and they didn't disclose the subsequent sites where the harvesting moved to Quemado in the area of Eagle Pass, further on up into West Texas. And what was happening to the workers, my clients were applying for the job, those that were from the Rio Grande Valley, and they were getting the runaround. They applied, called the employers, and they weren't returning calls. If they answered, they were telling the workers, no, the work doesn't pay $8.62 an hour, as was disclosed in the job order. We pay $5.59. And no, it's not going to be just working in Edinburgh at the warehouse. It's actually going to be harvesting watermelons and onions in the fields. And you're going to have to go to Quemado and Plains, and you got to pay for your own housing, and you got to pay for your own transportation. But the workers still wanted those jobs because the pay was good. It was $8.82. And the employer kept changing the dates of need. Call back later, call back later. And eventually they send a mass mailing to the workers. We haven't heard from you. If we don't hear from you in 10 days, we'll assume you're not interested type stuff. And the workers responded to those letters. They kept insisting, I want that job, I want that job. And well, it's going to start at a later date. We'll give you a call. That call never came. The jobs came and went. And my clients didn't get to work. And when workers moved from the valley to Eagle Pass, where I work. I have clients who are seasonal workers there, and they had been doing these jobs for years. They would go to the packing shed and apply for the job. I want work. And they were told, there's no work. We've already got a complete crew. And there they had those H-2B workers who were allegedly working in warehouse packing, harvesting the crops out in the fields. And this continued until this year, when a worker at the Texas Workforce Commission finally went and discovered that the site where the packing shed was actually a vacant lot. They discovered that the work actually was agricultural work, and that the packing sheds were in the field that belonged to the farmer, and so they were forced to apply for H-2A workers. And workers responded, and again, they were not hired. Instead, the employer withdrew the applications, and basically the opportunity disappeared for the Texas workers. Thank you.